All the tabletop role-playing news, we aim to amuse and we aim to enthuse. And Morris's unofficial tabletop RPG talk.
Hello, and welcome to Morris's unofficial tabletop RPG talk. I am Russ, aka Morris, or Morris, aka Russ. And with me this week is
PJ Coffee from the Southampton Guild of Roleplayers. Russ, as ever, I am delighted to be here. And joining us also, back in blue no less, after having a great time as Vice President of the USA, it's the one. It's the only.
It's me, Jessica from EN Publishing. Yes, thank you for coping without me last week. It was very exciting.
So how were things doing your duties as the Vice President of the USA?
Oh my goodness. It was so stressful. Yeah. So I went to a LARP weekend, for context, so everyone doesn't listen.
No, it wasn't a LARP. You were really the Vice President.
Yes, I really was.
I refuse to believe anything otherwise.
But no, it was quite stressful. So I was Vice President of the USA, which is quite a stressful job, I'd imagine, for anybody. But it was also set 25 years in the future, post an alien invasion. So there was a lot of stuff kind of going on, and a lot of stuff continued to happen. I won't share the plot of the game in case anyone wants to play it. It's called Veterans Day, which is the LARP. It's very good. I really enjoyed it. I was incredibly stressed and had a stressful time the entire time, but in a good way. Yeah.
But you didn't do an American accent.
I did not do an American accent because there were actual Americans there, and I thought that would be so awful for them, and everyone listened to it. They also did a Regency Cthulhu type game, which was great fun. So I got to flounce around in a little Regency dress, and my character knew nothing about the Cthulhu element of it, so I knew that her goals were like to go to a ball and have a nice time, and perhaps get Papa to agree to my betrothal.
Wonderful.
But the game did not end such ways. Yeah, and then I also had a Crusades sort of themed LARP as well, so I was able to wear like a medieval thing and flounce about in that. So it was a weekend of flouncing around in a lot of costumes, and who does not enjoy that?
It sounds like fun.
Yes, it was fun.
And this coming weekend, we're going to do a different type of flouncing around. Yes,
less Regency ball gowns, but more tabletop.
It could be arranged.
I mean, I unfortunately haven't had my dress cleaned. If you had told me that EN Publishing staff costume for Dragon Meat stand was Regency, I would be ready. Mm-hmm. But I need a little more than a day's notice. But yeah,
well, maybe next year.
I would love that. So yeah, Russ and I will be at Dragon Meat this weekend. We're in the lower trade hall. There's a map on our page which will tell you where we are, because I have forgotten our stand number.
Yes, so come and say hello and come and buy our books.
Yes, we've got the starter box sets for What's Old and New and for Level Up, which will be there for the first time. And they've been entered into the awards as well, so we'll see if anything comes from that as well.
Nice. All the awards are like 10 o'clock on Saturday, aren't they?
They're before it opens, because the exhibitors have got to get back to open up their stands. So it's like 9 or 9:30 or something. I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah, so I'm going to send Russ off to go to the awards, whilst I'll probably be scrambling to finish setting up our stand, because we're driving up. We're getting up really early tomorrow morning, which both Russ and I really enjoy doing. We are both very much morning people.
Wow. I've got some great news for you as well.
What?
Because it's just us two, and there's a few boxes to move. Unfortunately, I am carrying a shoulder injury, and I've been informed I absolutely cannot carry those boxes. So guess who's carrying them, Jess?
That's so great. I'm so
I knew you'd be happy
to hear. We haven't got too many boxes though.
No, it's not that bad.
So there's like 2 big boxes.
I might load some up with bricks just to,
keep her in toes.
Yeah.
I'll speak to HR about that. But anyway, yeah, if you are around at Dragon Meat this weekend in London, UK, come join us and say hi.
Okay, will do. I'm also popping up to Dragon Meat, less in a commercial capacity and more in a looking at interesting seminars.
What are you going to?
Well, there's one which is all about creating unique and exciting monsters, apparently with a live game of Monster Roulette. Okay. And there's one, young people, mental health and tabletop role-playing games.
Okay.
Which is going to talk about how these emotional and mental health needs in young people can be addressed, including neurodiversity.
That's kind of an interesting intersection of the day job and the hobby there.
Yeah, that had not escaped my attention. And we've also got Game Therapy UK presents the definitive update in therapeutic gaming. There is like a bit of a theme.
Yeah.
Emoting. I did see Bridge Command Sci-fi, and that did sound kind of amazing, which is a case study apparently on using role-playing concepts and mechanics for commercial, immersive, and interactive performance. So that's either going to be really interesting or a big ad, possibly both. And then at 5 o'clock, they've got the big table, the British and Irish Game Trade Assembly. So it's launching in 2025, but that's the chance to find out what it's offering, how your company can benefit. I go have a look, see if I could.
Hopefully, you'll have time to wander the trade hall at some point and say hello.
Yeah, I've got a couple of hours kicking around, but yeah.
They sound really interesting. So come back and report next week on the podcast, I guess.
I'm hoping to meet up with various people from Blue Sky, but as is usual, nobody can organise a thing. Whatever. If it happens, it happens. I'll be pushing around, wearing bright red braces, having long hair. I've been quite tall, so who knows?
Right, should we do some news?
Yes. Do you have any?
Or what news there is? There is not a lot. Okay, we got some musky news, but let's leave that till later.
I mean, that sounds like it smells as good as going to be this.
Well,
I don't think you're wrong, PJ. I don't think you're wrong.
We'll leave that to a little later. Let's start off with some Lord of the Rings news.
Okay, I'm listening. Tell me more.
So over on D&D Beyond, you can now get 3 leagues, IV powered Lord of the Rings role-playing game.
I think we mentioned this was coming up a while ago, but it is now out. It's now happening.
So they announced it at that sort of pre-recorded live stream event thing back in August, if you remember that. And they announced a whole bunch of different partners, and this was one of them that they specifically called out. So 3 leagues Lord of the Rings role-playing game. It was published in 2022. But now you can pick it up on D&D Beyond. So we've got the this is interesting actually. So I'm trying to work out how this works. So because it's on D&D Beyond, you don't get to download it, do you? As I understand how D&D Beyond works, it's a web interface for the content, yeah?
Yes.
So when you purchase something, it's still hosted there on D&D Beyond.
Correct.
Now the license for Lord of the Rings is a license between Free League, presumably between Free League and the Tolkien estate. Wizards of the Coast presumably is not party to that license, unless there's a separate license going on in the background that we don't know about.
I imagine it's a distribution license they have, in the same way that if a hobby store is selling Level Up Advanced 5th edition products, they don't have a license.
So that's kind of kind of where I was going with that.
Oh, sorry.
However, when you go and buy a book from a hobby store, you've got the book and you take it home and it's yours.
Yes.
You go and buy a PDF from Drive Through RPG. You download the PDF and now you've got the PDF and you can stick it on your hard drive or a thumb drive or whatever.
Or print it off and...
Yeah. With this, you can't. Because that's not how D&D Beyond works.
Yeah.
So, if Wizards of the Coast themselves are just acting as basically a store and app type thing, and again, I don't know exactly what the deal is, when Free League's license to produce Lord of the Rings role-playing game material ends, and it will, because no license in the history of ever has ever not ended, it will, one day, what happens to the content you've bought? Can Wizards still continue to provide it to you? I mean,
that is a really interesting question.
Yeah.
I was thinking you were going in the direction of all the token estate kick off, which my response would be, as long as they're getting paid a big chunk of cash and nobody tries to do anything disrespectful with it, probably not. But what's going to happen when it ends? That is a very interesting question.
That's not how it works.
I have to give some money to someone because that's going to be a problem.
There must be some agreements written. I'm sure there's been something. But yeah, I do wonder. Yeah.
Yeah, terms of service probably going to be worthwhile reading, eh?
Well, yeah, because
that sounds fun.
Presumably, 3D can't sub-license.
Oh God, that's not.
You know, Middle Earth-based material to another company. So, unless Wizards has directly entered into some kind of agreement with the Tolkien estate, their ability to provide that content is solely derived from Free League's ability to allow them to do that. Presumably.
The only loop around I can think is even when a company, so for example, we used to have the license for Judge Dredd in the world of 2000 AD, and then they decided to do that in-house, so we don't have that license anymore. The stores that we sell books to of that product can still sell them, but we cannot sell any of those products anymore. So I wonder if there's like a digital workaround with that Free League have made an agreement with D&D Beyond for X number of tokens of this product to be sold, and they've bought them and they sell them on. So maybe that's, I don't know how it works, the digital stuff, because I'm not as au fait with digital distribution terms. But yeah, that's a really good point. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, I've got no idea how it works. I mean,
maybe one of us will spend a bit of time reading through the terms and conditions.
Yeah.
Beyond.
Well, I do know that I mentioned this to Christian Hoffer, who writes for EN World, and he has asked Wizards. So hopefully by next week, maybe we'll know a bit more.
Oh, well, that's it. Yeah, I mean, just asking them seems like a really good way. Yeah,
I kind of feel like that's a piece of information that if you're a potential customer, you should know anyway.
Know in advance as well.
Yeah. Do I get to keep this or not? You know?
Or is it just until some point in the future?
Yeah.
When it decides it. I mean, there's probably a lot of digital content nowadays. You're not actually buying it.
Well, see, don't get me wrong. I don't mind renting digital content as long as I know that's what I'm doing. I'll rent a movie off the Sky Store quite happily, knowing that I've got 48 hours to watch it, and then it will disappear. And I'm okay with that because I know that's the deal.
I've been to video stores. This is more convenient. That's okay. But if I click buy on a book, I expect to retain that copy of the book until, I don't know, forever. Like, yeah, obviously, if the company goes bust or disappears, fine.
Yeah.
That's on me to look out and try and avoid that situation. Make sure I have a good, robust library. But a lot of these things, like Amazon, say, they do keep all their books locked behind digital rights management. So you're not buying it. You are just essentially indulging in a rental of a long-term right.
Yeah.
So is this going to be the same deal? I'm very interested in finding out what Wizards has.
I mean, all the other third-party stuff on D&D Beyond is like directly owned by the third-party creator that has the arrangement with D&D Beyond. This is the only one I think that involves a license with a licensed IP from a separate company. So
I'm sure they must have thought of that.
I'm sure. Oh, yeah, I am utterly sure. You know,
and I would care to hear their thoughts.
Yeah. I'm sure it's fine. But anyway,
that's interesting. I think it's interesting that Lord of the Rings is on there because it's the first time that Tolkien thing has been officially on there. So
Wizards of the Coast is officially selling Lord of the Rings D&D technically on D&D Beyond now. Is the situation
officially, which has happened before, but we don't try not to talk about.
Well, yes, back in the early 1970s when hobbits and ents and balrogs were in the D&D rule books until the Tolkien. Well, I suppose it wasn't the estate at the time, I imagine, in the 70s, but Tolkien's company, I guess, at the time, weren't so happy with that. And they changed them to halflings, treants, and Badors.
Of course, here in Southampton, we are no stranger to controversy around Tolkien copyright.
Oh, the Hobbit pub, yeah.
Hobbit pub, yes.
Hobbit pub, yes. Of interest to both of our listeners from Southampton. Hi, Lee. We have had a pub in Southampton for many years, which was selling basically drinks called Gandalfs and using that theming. I think it had a change of ownership and they've stopped doing stuff directly after. So
originally you could go in there, and this was for years, I've been in Southampton a long time, for years. You could go in there and you could buy a Gandalf or an Aragorn or an Elrond or whatever, and they were different cocktails, pint-sized, student-y pint cocktails.
It come in pints?
It came in pints, yeah. And nowadays, it's just things like Wizard and Knight. They're kind of more generically named.
There's one called Dragon's Blood or something, which is very nice and dangerous because it does not taste in any way alcoholic, but it is in very many ways alcoholic.
Does it taste like Dragon's Blood?
No, it doesn't.
How do you know?
Don't know.
I'm Welsh.
Good sounds. I like it.
The Hobbit pub is a good place in Southampton that people used to go.
Well, there was because at one point Tolkien Estate was going to sue the Hobbit pub, and this was 10 years ago, I want to say ish. I can't remember when it
Maybe
was.
a bit longer. But...
Maybe a bit longer.
It's when I've been in the area, so definitely 10, 15 years. Or so.
And Ian McKellen and Stephen Fry stood up for the pub and said that they would come down and have a drink. They never did, but said they come down and have a drink in the pub. But they never. Really very cool to sort of go into the Hobbit pub and just see like Stephen Fry and Ian McKellen having a drink in the corner. Would have been amazing. Yeah. But eventually, the Tolkien Estate, I guess, relented because the Hobbit pub is still there and it's still called the Hobbit, but it doesn't have those drink names. So maybe there was some kind of deal. I don't know.
Maybe. But anyway, the pub still stands, which is amazing.
It does still stand. It does still stand.
Speaking of Lord of the Rings, I'm going to be starting probably in the new year a One Ring campaign, which I'm playing, which I'm very excited about. So I'm going to be using the One Ring rules from Free League. We're just waiting for our Warhammer Fantasy campaign to end because we're doing the Enemy Within, and we're so nearly at the end. But we've been so nearly at the end for like a few months now, and so we're all kind of like, okay. But you got to close one door before you open another.
Is this One Ring 1E or One Ring 2E?
The Free League second edition one, I believe.
Yeah, because was it Cubicle? I can't even remember. It was Cubicle 7, wasn't it?
It was Cubicle 7. Yes. This is the One Ring that Free League has.
Yeah.
Because I have that starter box set. I have not used it. And a friend of mine was like, I'm going to run a One Ring campaign. And I was like, I will definitely play in that.
Cool. I'd be really interested to hear about that.
Well, I am as well. But when it starts, I will certainly let you know. But I think the Warhammer Fantasy campaign, the ending is taking longer because we're faffing around more. Such is our way.
Yeah. Such as the way of most tabletop RPG campaigns.
I understand. So I am anticipating, I'm very excited and hotly anticipating in 2025 playing the One Ring campaign. But I'm also curious about what the listeners' most anticipated RPGs of 2025 are.
Are you now?
I am. And don't you know, on EM World right now, you can nominate your most anticipated RPG of 2025. Russ, do you want to give more details? Because you've been doing this for decades?
2013 was the first year.
So over a decade.
Over a decade. Over a decade. Did miss 1 year. Well, that was because I did it in 2013 and it wasn't intended to be an ongoing thing. And I didn't do it in 2014. And then it came to 2015 and someone said, aren't you doing that thing? And I went, well, no, I needed it once. And they went, do it again. So I said, all right. And then I did it again and then kept doing it.
If anything, we succumb to peer pressure.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So basically each year I take a big poll for what is the most anticipated tabletop role-playing game for the coming year. So for this year, it will be for 2025. And there's a few rules. One is that this thing has to be a standalone tabletop RPG. So you're not counting supplements, settings, adventures, source books.
So you couldn't do the Void Runners Codex, for example.
You couldn't do the Void Runners Codex.
Yeah.
But, if it's an actual standalone tabletop RPG and it's supposed to be out to the general public in 2025, then it's valid.
Okay.
Anticipable.
Yeah. So it's basically for about 2 weeks. You can go to the thread on EN World and nominate one or two. You don't have to do two, but one or two games, which are the ones that you are anticipating the most next year. And then after those 2 weeks, I compile all the nominations up into a big old poll, and then everyone gets to vote, and then we announce them. Probably, I guess, early. We usually announce it like right at the beginning of January, don't we?
Yeah, but we'll talk about it in the podcast here.
Yeah.
So you just need to. So people just need to put in the comments of this thread on EM while there's an article. They just need to write in the game and a link to it.
Yeah, you have to include the link. If you're making me do homework, I'm not going to do the homework.
You really won't.
I won't do it. I'll look at it and go, I'm not ready. I'll move on to the next one.
But yeah, last year it was Shadow of the Weird Wizard, which is hotly anticipated.
Yeah. So Shadow of the Weird Wizard last year. Pendragon 6e the year before.
I mean, me personally, I am very excited about 13th Age 2nd edition, the Laundry RPG.
Well, 13th Age 1st edition won it in 2013.
Yeah.
How
And
cool would it be if it
13th
won it again in 2024?
13th Age Second Edition has been the third most anticipated RPG of the following year in 2023 and 2024.
Yes.
So the
This is-
anticipation
this is true.
is building.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah.
Whereas Pendragon 6e was in 2022, 2023, and 2024.
Look, they get there when they're ready.
I guess. But anyway,
Okay.
anyway, that's how it works. So go along and nominate your most anticipated RPG. And it's not a competition to see how many games you can name. Make it the one you are most anticipating.
Yeah.
That's the point.
One or two, you're most anticipating.
One or two, yeah.
Well, speaking of things which are coming out next year,
Oh.
but which are not eligible for the most anticipated.
Oh.
That's one I'm very excited about
Mm-hmm.
because I'm writing it.
Oh,
It's
fair enough.
crafting heritages, cultures, and more.
Ooh.
World building, which is going to be a compilation of my first two books, plus everything I've learned over the past 3 years about how to write these, which is actually fairly substantial, plus a variety of other ways that you would be able to simulate the developments that have happened since 2022 in the role-playing sphere, because times have moved on. The understanding of game balance has evolved, and I like to keep track of these things because
Fair enough.
that's my jam. So
Fair enough.
yeah, I think it should be quite nice. I'm putting out the stops, commissioning a cover, or maybe I'll buy one, but probably commissioning.
Is that crowdfunding?
Yes, it's coming out from BackerKit.
Ooh, exciting.
Nice.
Yeah, I heard some cool people were doing stuff on BackerKit. I thought, well, actually, I really like BackerKit. It makes my life a lot easier, so I'll give it a whirl.
Nice.
So yeah,
We are also going to be trying BackerKit next year, so it'll be interesting. We should compare notes, because that'll be our first time as well on BackerKit.
Yeah.
I'm aware. That's what I said.
Oh, right. We're the cool. Okay.
Oh, we're the cool people. No one's ever called us that
didn't-
before.
Yeah, I
It just
don't.
didn't register.
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't register. I've not often been. I'm called many things, but cool is not one of them.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's basically, as a third-party developer, it seems sensible to me to follow the people who are creating the system that I am designing for.
I
Fair enough.
suppose there is some logic there.
Bizarre logic, but yeah, I think we'll find it hangs together if you look at it.
Yeah. I mean, we're only trying the one at the moment. We're going to try it and see how it goes.
Yeah.
We're not,
we've been-
jumping
yeah.
ship from Kickstarter or anything. It's just we're giving one a try. See what
Nice.
happens.
This is going to be
Spreading
a
our
substantial
options,
book.
yeah.
Pretty.
Yeah.
I think it's a good place for it to go.
Hmm.
Like, I believe it's going to get its hardback, so maybe it'll even make the odd shelfie Russ. You know?
Wow.
Ooh, okay.
Wow.
Well, obviously we've got a Kickstarter live right now. We've got the Monstrous Menagerie 2 live at the moment, which we've talked about in a previous episode. So if you want to hear about it, go back a couple of weeks and listen to the episode with Paul Hughes where we talked about it. But on one of the live streams we did for that, somebody commented, they said, "Oh, I wish you were doing this for What's Old is New, because I love that." And guess what? We are actually next year doing What's Old is New Bestiary as well. And I wanted to mention it because this week Russ has written all the stats for it, and I've been writing a bit of flavor text for it this week. And there's a section on it that's all like animals. So I felt like David Attenborough writing this week, because I've been trying to find out just a bit of intro text about what it is. So I've been trying to look up cool facts about animals all week. So that has been one of the interesting things that you do when you work in tabletop RPG.
And practicing your David Attenborough voice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I can do very well.
That sounds more like Margaret Thatcher.
All right.
So what,
Okay, I try my best.
what I'm hearing is every time I look at a cool animal fact video, I should send it to you, Jess.
Yeah.
Understood.
I like the True Facts by Zafrank. They're very good.
I also enjoyed true facts, but only when delivered in an entertaining fashion. I have
Indeed.
some quality tips for you, so you'll enjoy them.
Brilliant. Right. Well, shall we idle back to tabletop RPG news?
That's a good idea. Let's have a look at what else we've got in the news. I mean, I did say it's a really quiet week, but we got some news about a tabletop role-playing game based on a video game being made by Wizards of the Coast. So, there's an upcoming video game called Exodus, which is being made by one of Wizards of the Coast sub-companies called Archetype Entertainment. They're making a video game called Exodus, and Wizards of the Coast is also going to be making a tabletop RPG based on it. Which basically means it's going to be the first new tabletop RPG they've made since 5e.
Right.
which is interesting. I don't know anything about it. I don't know whether it's going to be powered by 5e or whether it's going to be a new system. I don't know anything about it.
It's going to use the Caltrop core license. That's my prediction. D4s all the way.
Yeah, maybe.
I do like Caltrop Core. It's fun.
Yeah. I mean, the video game is going to be it's a sci-fi video game.
Mhm.
And it's about space colonists fighting against something called the Celestials, which are the descendants of humanity. And there's time dilation and space travel and stuff.
Ooh.
I don't know what system it will use or anything like that.
No. Well, so that's the role-playing game based on the video game.
Correct. But it looks like time dilation is a part of it. Like, confront time dilation. Choices you make create consequences, changing the fate of those you love most and reshaping the future of your entire civilization for generations. I don't know how that will work, but it sounds fascinating.
Yeah. I don't really have anything to add. Like,
Well, we don't know what system it will be or anything like that, do we? So,
we'll find out.
Is it going to be more like a Command and Conquer looking thing? Or more StarCraft, or more like Homeworld? Any ideas? No pictures?
I don't think Russ has any of those references
piece of art,
which is the issue.
There's one piece of art, which is of a giant robot-y thing.
Okay.
Standing
I love a giant robot. Who
doesn't like a giant? So basically, right, this is interesting. The book is being made available on December the 11th to followers of the video game. It's going to be the Exodus Traveler's Handbook.
Right.
It's going to be by James Olin, who made Arcanum Worlds and Odyssey of the Dragon Lords, if you remember that one.
Oh, yeah.
So, December 11th, that's in 2 weeks. If you're following the game, I'm not sure what following the game means, but if you're following the game, you'll be able to get it in advance, presumably in digital form, I guess. I don't know.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Well,
this is Exodus, the computer game. Is that right?
Yeah. Exodus. Yeah.
Alrighty.
Yeah. I'm intrigued.
Yes. Yeah. Speaking of Exodus, Exodi, and people leaving places beginning with X. That's,
nice segue. Good.
Beginning and ending in X, technically, I suppose. Yeah. Well, it begins with an X, ends with an X. Never go back to your X, is all I'm saying.
Anyway.
Well, I hear that there's a website. Was it Deserto or something? They've been claiming that Elon Musk is going to be able to buy Hasbro.
Well,
this is right. So there's a bit more. There's a bit more to the story. So basically, all
you can't say this. We can't talk about this guy with a straight face. He's just such a
right. So on
Very
November the
serious
21st, which was when was November the 21st? That was like 5 days ago, 4 days ago. I don't know when it was. 8 days ago. I remember because it was right after we finished recording the podcast, which is why we didn't mention it last week. And then it happened. And then I was like, oh, well, it's not going to be in this week's podcast. Then it'll have to be in next week's, a week late. Yeah. Okay. So Elon Musk, that man who owns the app that was once known as Twitter, is now known as X, decided to... This is ridiculous.
This is a thing that happened. It's news. Let's share it.
He wants Wizards of the Coast to burn in hell.
That's quite a strong statement.
It's quite a strong statement.
I mean, our lives, the three of us here, center around tabletop RPGs quite a bit, fair to say. And we have had opinions on things that Wizards of the Coast have done in the past. But I don't think any of us has ever publicly said anything quite that far.
No.
I've been pretty vocal in my displeasure about the whole OGL thing.
I haven't.
Well,
but I haven't heard you.
So how did this come about?
Them ill in such a fiery manner.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you're wondering how this came about. So what happened was,
tell me more.
I mean, as we know, there was a book published a while back called "The Making of Original Dungeons and Dragons." And we've talked about a little bit of controversy when a load of people got upset that the foreword And I do want to point out that the word is forward, not forward. Forward is at the beginning of a book. Forward is a direction. The
Noted.
forward
Yeah.
of the book criticised early D&D for various issues, like gender-based issues, for misogyny, for
I mean, D&D
depictions of cultures, things like that.
D&D was made in the 80s, and you read back at it, and it really shows that it was made in the 80s.
Well, we're talking the 70s here. Talking the 70s.
Oh gosh, even worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are some topics that in the 70s people wrote, and they just, I think the book, in fairness, just wanted to give a flag that, hey, this was said because it was the 70s, and that's what it was.
It's a 500-page book,
Yeah.
which is very much a celebration of the creation of D&D.
Yeah.
It includes a couple of versions of D&D, drafts of D&D that were never published before in it. It is very much a celebration of
It's not a hack job. They're not trying to take it down.
Oh no, it's very much very pro D&D.
Yeah.
But the foreword, which is what, 4 or 5 pages long, has a couple of paragraphs in it, and really we're talking a couple of paragraphs of that foreword,
Right.
which criticise some of the choices made in those early. Not any designer by name doesn't say that this person is a misogynist, anything like that. It criticises some of the choices made, just kind of like, as a warning, this sort of content, will be, you'll see that in this book, because this book sort of replicates some of the documents from back then.
Okay.
Yeah.
So some of the documents replicate the casual misogyny that was prevalent in the 1970s.
Yeah.
And be aware of that.
I mean, it's such a minor criticism. It's like 2 paragraphs. It's just almost nothing. But of course, we talked about it on the show like a couple of months ago. Like a lot of people got upset about it. So a chap called Mark Hearn posted these passages on Twitter.
Okay.
To which Elon Musk quoted his post with the tweet. And I quote, "Nobody, and I mean nobody, gets to trash Gary Gygax and the geniuses who created Dungeons and Dragons. What the fuck is wrong with Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast? May they burn in hell."
Wow, that's...
That was Elon Musk.
He must learn to form an opinion.
Noted role-playing game creator, designer, and player. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, like the role-playing game industry. Okay.
Yeah.
Clearly speaking from a position of much information.
I'm guessing he is a player based on how passionate he is about it, but I haven't heard about this before.
I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he has played D&D at some point in his life, but I don't know.
Yeah, but to have that sort of reaction implies...
Well, I guess he, for a tweet, he knew who Gary Gygax was. So I guess,
I guess he must know, because I think
and Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast knew who they were.
Yeah, because it is a niche hobby we're in still. I know, I mean, us here and people listening won't think of it that way because of who we are as people. But
yes.
There's still a lot of people that have never heard of Dungeons and Dragons or the concept of role-playing games. So
I bet the knowledge that Dungeons and Dragons is published by Wizards of the Coast, which is a subsidiary of Hasbro, is niche knowledge.
Yes, and the creator of that is called Gary Gygax.
Yeah, I might be a little more just because Gary Gygax was on Futurama once, but
that's true. Maybe that's how Mr. Musk knows him.
Possibly. But that is what he tweeted, and of course it exploded because why wouldn't it when the richest man in the world demands that a company burn in hell
and has his own platform where he can make sure his tweets are in front of every eyeball.
Yes,
you want it or not.
Yeah. So that exploded all over the internet.
Right.
So a week later, and this would have been like a couple of days ago, yesterday maybe, in fact. I mean, after it raged across the internet for a week and everyone talked about it and things like that. So the guy who wrote the foreword in question, Jason Tondro, posted on Facebook. Now, this was not a public post on Facebook.
Okay.
You know, on Facebook, when you post a post, you can choose it can be for your friends only, it can be public or whatever.
Yeah.
And generally, you know, my rule is if someone posts something publicly, then it's public. You can quote it. If they haven't, I don't think it's fair game to quote unless, you know, it's one of those proper sort of public interest stories where whistleblowy public interest stories where they all had to go. And this certainly isn't that.
Raided the bank, lol, then that would be fair game if they had actually done such a thing.
Yeah. So people sort of shared what he wrote in response he wrote it on Facebook a week later, and it was I'm not going to read it out because he didn't post it publicly. You know, I'm friends with him on Facebook, so I saw it, but you know, it wasn't a public post. But some people put it on Twitter. It's like, well, okay, that's not a choice I would make. It was a private note for his friends on Facebook. Anyway, he made what I think is a reasoned and not very upset statement, you know, and just got on with his day.
Yeah.
To which someone, oh goodness me, quote, pick a screenshot, post that on Twitter, Elon Musk to see, and Elon Musk responds with the words, "How much is Hasbro?"
Wow, that's a choice he could make. You think he'd learned his lesson the first time?
Well, on 21st of December 2017 at 12:52 p.m. I know this because I'm looking at the tweet right now and I can see exactly when it was. Elon Musk said, "I love Twitter." Someone called Dave Smith replied, "You should buy it then." To which Elon Musk replied, "How much is it?" And then as we know, he proceeded then to make a bid for Twitter.
Yeah. Oh, $44 billion.
Tried to back out of the deal.
Well, yeah, I think about spending $44 billion.
Was forced to buy it for that $44 billion in June 2022.
Lol.
Which is 5 years later, to be fair. It took a while. June 2022.
Yeah.
According to current estimates by investment firm Fidelity, he paid $44 billion for it. Guess what it's worth now? According to their estimates.
Maybe $3-4 billion?
Yeah, a bit more than that, but $9.4 billion.
I'd be interested to see, given what happened with so many users leaving, doing their exodus.
Yeah, I mean that estimate was dated. It was reported on CNN October the 2nd. So yeah.
Like I don't think those numbers are going up.
No, they're not going up at all. No, of course they're not.
So are we living in fear that in 5 years' time? Sorry, no, I shouldn't say fear. Neutral journalistic things. Are we suggesting that maybe in 5 years' time, Mr. Musk could own Hasbro?
No, I mean I can answer his questioning. He asked how much is Hasbro, so I looked it up for him. 8.71 billion is how much Hasbro is.
Yeah.
Oh, so he could sell X and then buy Hasbro. That money.
Yes.
And have some change.
Or maybe he could just swap them. Maybe he could just do swapsies.
Yeah, like a house swap.
Like a bring and buy sort of thing. I don't think.
Yeah, I'm sure it works like that.
Mean, a toy and game company with constant bringing in money and a website where most of the active users has left, which relies entirely on advertisers, which I believe he told that they could go and do something with themselves.
Yeah.
He said they could do exactly.
Yeah, he basically told the advertisers to go fuck themselves, so they did. And now his company's worth 25% of what it was.
Wow. I don't know much about that, but I will keep an eye on that situation because I think if Hasbro is suddenly owned by Elon Musk, I think it will be a different company and might have different priorities than it currently has.
I don't think he'll buy it. I really don't.
No,
well, do you know what? Do you know what? Nothing surprises me anymore because wild stuff outside of TTRP news happens all the time. So if that happened, I'd be like, do you know what? Sure.
Well, you know, I mean, you know, as Jason Tondro said, pissing off the richest man in the world wasn't on my bingo card for this week.
No.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, Twitter was designed to be sold. That was always the plan. It was build it up, make it profitable, attract an investor, sell it, get out, cash out. Perfectly good business plan.
Yeah.
Hasbro has people like its chief finance officer, used to work at PayPal, which Elon Musk was formerly influential in owning, and may have developed opinions, I hear, based on his time spent with Elon Musk and his winning personality. And also for sure, it's worth 8.1 billion or 8.8 billion now. Yeah. But to buy it, he's going to start mass buying shares.
Yeah.
And that's going to push the price up. So 8.8 billion, not really a thing that's going to go. And then Hasbro can also release, it's authorized to release up to 600 shares to avoid him getting a controlling stock, which you would still need to pay in excess of 4.4 billion. And I think the term is leverage, so I'm a little bit out of my depth, but basically he's borrowed money against Tesla with its many exciting fatal car crashes and people burning to death in their cars because they cannot get out. Seems like a bit of a safety flaw to me, but what do I know? I don't know Tesla. He's leveraged money against that company in order to buy Twitter and then turn it into X, which has crashed. And also, he didn't buy it on his own. He went into it with a bunch of other people, including like Saudis and various other companies to afford him to have that money. So he's losing money. He still owes money on X. It's
but rich people with their money, it's not like a real thing. It's not like when you and I buy something, they're moving stuff around. There's liquid.
Points,
it's a weird. It's a weird game of moving things around opposed to actually having money and spending it, which I do not understand.
Yeah, I'm just saying that he may be suffering liquidity problems if he wishes to. It's not a question of going down the back of the sofa and pulling out 4.4 billion, which I remind people is actually a huge amount of money.
We know that.
It is a lot. It wouldn't fit in a sofa. That much I know.
Well, it depends how big the sofa is.
That's the world's biggest sofa filled with money. Oh, okay. We kind of derailed a little bit, but the point was Elon Musk has been asked how much Hasbro is to buy on.
Yeah.
And that is the thing that happened, and that is the news we're reporting to you.
Yeah.
Do we have any other tabletop
I
RPG
personally
news?
don't think it's credible, but it would be quite funny if he did. Or tried to.
Yeah.
We will, if he does, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
On this TTRPG news show, because it would be relevant.
Yeah, I think we've talked about enough for now.
Yes.
Speaking of TTRPG news,
yes,
I hear that Rascal, who are a independent investigative TTRPG reporting.
Yeah, they're a TTRPG news site.
They do investigations and everything. It's quite cool. I like it. They are currently running subscriptions for like $1 a month to let you try it out. Yeah.
If you're interested in reading their articles,
Yeah, so they go with the subscription based model rather than an advertising based model.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in the RPG news. As people might deduce over the past 6 years.
Yes.
So I like to be well informed. It makes me smart.
Yes. And I think it's good that there's lots of different tabletop RPG news sites to go and visit to. So more independent sites that aren't just clickbait, rage bait topics. I think that's only a good thing. So if you are at all interested, then you can check out
serious news sites, not just click farms. Yeah.
We are very serious.
Very serious, yeah. We don't have any sense of humor whatsoever.
This is true.
In fact, we are against humor.
I am.
And fun. We hate fun.
Yes. At this games company, we are anti. Anyway.
Well played.
But I don't actually have any other TTRPGs. I guess it's going to be a bit slow this week because in the US it is Thanksgiving, so there's a lot of people who are not working, because there's like national holidays and things going on, and December's generally a bit of a quieter month. So we shall see how we go.
A turkey coma, whatever that is. So,
well, who's to say?
Or me.
But yeah.
Well, in that case, shall we call it a day? And well, I was going to say go off and have our weekends, but we're going to go off and do a dragon meet.
No, I'm going to go to bed like now at 3 p.m. so I can be up in time to leave the house really early.
I don't want to get up that early tomorrow, Jess.
Well, you have to because you're driving. I can drive your car if you want. It's not legal, but I'll give it a go. I don't have a license, but I'm sure I'll be fine.
What could possibly go wrong?
How hard can it be?
Yeah.
You might need like a little booster seat to see if it's the dashboard.
Yeah,
I do. Do you know what? When I drive, I do have a cushion I take with me just so I can see. because I am very short.
Yeah. Well, I have to take Marvin, my dog, down to the vets now because he had certain parts of his anatomy removed the other day.
Good. Good for him.
And he felt sorry for himself for about a day, and now he seems totally back to normal and seems to have forgotten all about it. Which I don't think I would quite so quickly, but hey, there we go.
How can we know? And on that note, let us end the podcast there. Goodbye, dear listeners.
All right, bye-bye. See you all next week. Bye-bye.